Hi everybody, it's Karen. I have a great question I want to answer today. Somebody asked me what it meant to white knuckle it. What does that mean? It's an old term and it makes a lot of sense to me, and I'll tell you why. This is what white knuckling it means. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I talk a lot about the abnormal state of mind and body. Alcoholism is a mental illness. It's not so much about the drinking. The drinking is the cure to the problem. I know that sounds crazy, right? That the drugs and alcohol are not the problem, they're actually the cure. And this is why. You suffer from an abnormal state of mind and body. It means you have an allergy of the body and an obsession of the mind. Alcoholism is actually a mental illness, and it's on the mental illness spectrum, okay? So what happens to people is they are having problems in their head, right? They can't handle life. Selfishness, self-centeredness, delusion, rationalization, blaming. They're miserable. They are miserable. And their head is like a million radio stations on at the same time, and they're all on different channels. And the only way to really fix that is have a drink. Have a drink. Or drugs. Or whatever it is you're using to treat that untuned radio station. Some people quit drinking and they start smoking pot, and some people smoke, and I'm not talking about people that smoke pot like normal people drink. I'm talking about people that are switching addictions, and they'll quit drinking and they'll start gambling, and they'll stop gambling and they'll start eating, right? There's just, I got to make myself comfortable. I'm uncomfortable, I'm irritable, restless, discontent, and I can't stand it, right? And that's why the drinking helps. You see people and they're like, having, in the movies, and they're stressed and they're freaked out, and they have a drink and they go, right? It's treating the alcoholism. It's treating, it's actually like medicine in somebody like me, okay? Why then would I quit? I quit because the what's it called? The consequences are so great. They're going to kill me. And it's not, eventually the alcohol and the drugs quit working, and they don't work anymore. That's why you see people that just drink 24 hours a day and they can't get drunk anymore. They're just kind of pickled. That's because it stopped working. So it's obvious, it's apparent that it's not a good solution to the problem of alcoholism. So you got to have a sufficient substitute if you're going to take drugs and alcohol away from someone. When someone comes to my club room and they want to quit drinking, and they stop drinking the way that's treating their head, right, tuning in the stations, they quit drinking and they quit drugging, and they don't have an adequate substitute with good consequences, like a spiritual program, they will drink again. They will drink or use again. And I'm never surprised when someone comes back and goes, oh my God, I drank, I can't believe it, I had 14 days. Yeah, but you just quit drinking. See, if you quit drinking, the problem gets worse, right? So pretty soon, the term in the old days was called white knuckling it. People are like this, right? They're just barely hanging on. And their little knuckles are turning white because they're just hanging on, right? When you fall off a cliff and you're hanging on, your knuckles turn white. All the blood, you're hanging on so tight, you're trying so hard. It's all this effort. That's white knuckling it, right? And people can't stay sober that long, and if they do, they're freaking miserable. Have you ever met somebody in your life that you just wish they'd have a drink? Like, please get this girl a drink. I was a mess. There's a lot of people right now, 17% of alcoholics and addicts right now are killing themselves sober. Not loaded, sober. Why? Why did they do that? Because they couldn't stand the way they felt sober. This is a sober illness. Okay? So you can't white knuckle. You can only white knuckle it for so long before you have to do something to treat this illness. And if you don't want to drink anymore, you don't want to drug, and that is like not an option. And getting sober is miserable, and that's not an option. Some people just, it's called going on to the bitter end, you know what I mean? They can't get drunk and they can't get sober. So sobriety is not abstinence. Abstinence is when you stop drinking and drugging, but you don't have a substitute. Horrible. I can't stand being sober like that. I couldn't do it. First thing, I can't handle life on life's terms. The first sign of trouble, and I'd be out. Like if I don't have this whole concept of a higher power and the fact that I don't have to be in charge, I wouldn't be able to stay sober. I can't deal with it. I can deal with the really big stuff, but the little stuff put me right over the edge. Like, you could tell me that a plane went down and blah, 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 and I'd be like, oh, that's terrible. That's too bad. But my shoelace breaks, and oh my God, this always happens to me. My life sucks. You know what I mean? It's been like this since I was little, blah, 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 blah. The alcoholism just takes over, and I'm just devastated, right? I don't know if you can relate to that, but that is alcoholism. So I have to treat it somehow. So white knuckling it is miserable. Abstinence is miserable. People say to me, well, what if I take Antabuse? Because they think it's the drinking. If I just don't drink, it'll be okay. What they don't realize, if you don't drink, you still have alcoholism. You still have the mental illness. Now you have alcoholism and no way to keep yourself comfortable. So if you take Antabuse, Antabuse is not going to stop you. I know a lot of people. I know people that have come to meetings and done the 12 steps, and their doctors have put them on Antabuse while they're going through the program. And I don't think it's the Antabuse. I think it's the program that helps them. I know a lot of people that have been on Antabuse and drank on Antabuse. Real alcoholics, maybe heavy drinkers it works, but real alcoholics, you have no choice. If you give me something and I can't drink, and my mind is going crazy, I got to do something. I've never done heroin, but I would if I was in a pinch. Do you see what I mean? I wouldn't, I do something. I got to do something to treat this illness. So if you put me on Antabuse and I can't drink, I'm probably not going to make it. I'm probably going to have to kill myself because I can't take it. And people do. There was one man who they put on Antabuse, and he ended up killing his whole family and himself. Right? The alcoholism got him. So you have to step away from the idea that alcohol is the problem. Yes, it has horrible side effects. It will kill you. But the alcoholism, the thing that every time you quit drinking, this thing is the thing that makes you go back. Right? Every time you relapse, you're sober when you relapse. So it's not the alcohol. It's your thinking. So that's what it means. When someone's white knuckling it, they're trying to stay abstinent and not drink, but they don't have an answer. It's miserable. And a lot of people have stayed sober. They've white knuckled it for like 5 years. And they've hated their life that whole time, but they did it for their kids, or they did it. What I'm telling you is there's a way out. You can be free of drugs and alcohol and live your best life, happy, joyous, and free. It's a spiritual answer, and it's found in the 12-step program. AA, any kind of A, whatever, right? Except for AAA. Can't find it in AAA. But you can find it in Gamblers Anonymous. They're all the same steps. So if you want to quit drinking and be happy, joyous, and free, you need to do something else. You need to get a spiritual program of action. Some people find it at church. Some people find it in a lot of different ways. But you've got to treat this thinking with something outside of yourself, a power greater than yourself. Okay? So I hope that explains what white knuckling it is. It's suffering, really. It's horrible to see somebody white knuckling it. Terrible. So I suggest a new way of life, a design for living that really works. Give it a try. I love you all.